Time to explore more of Citizen Soldier. This one is called Inner Critic. Shout out today goes to Amanda. Thank you for your support on Buy Me a Coffee. I was trying to decide between Therapy, Better Off Broken, or Inner Critic. But because Inner Critic is off the new upcoming album and it's a more recent release, I thought I'll look into that. If you guys don't know who Citizen Soldier is, I highly recommend you check them out. Do you guys have an inner critic? And what does that critic tell you most often? Why can't I believe good things about myself?
Inner critic's never been this loud. I've tried everything to turn it down, but it don't fight fair, and it's always there. Inner critic won't let no one close. Makes me doubt the ones that care the most, cause this parasite is the jealous type. So keep your kindness, I'll always second guess it silently. I will always question why anyone would wanna be with me, cause I don't know how to not feel this way. Why can't I ever let me win? Why can't I take a compliment? Cause everyone says the nicest things, but I'm never good enough for me. Why can't I let myself feel loved? Am I afraid of messing up? Something is broken in my brain. I'll never be good enough for me.
This is fierce. I'm gonna rewind real quick, you guys. I'm so focused on the lyrics and my mind is all over the place. My own personal experience with the inner critic and pain. People that I love, that I know can relate to this song. Many of you, I'm sure, really feel this deeply. And then it goes off and the composition is so dope. And I'm finding myself caught in this cognitive dissonance of going, okay, this is making me emotional and sad, but at the same time, this track is dope, and I just wanna just get lost in it. Let me rewind. It's crazy what music can do, how it can take us on this ride, but at the same time, there's something so badass and fierce about this, and entertaining, right? But at the same time, it's deep. Wow. I'm sorry, y'all. Look at these masks when it says everyone says the nicest things. It almost looks fake. You can't trust that that's really what they mean. They say the nicest things, but do they really mean it? It almost puts in picture that feeling of, I don't know if I can trust it. They might just be wearing a mask or lying to me. It's not, is it an authentic smile? Is it an authentically kind word?
'Cause everyone says the nicest things, but I'm never good enough for me. Why can't I let myself be
Wow.
loved? Am I afraid of messing up? Something is broken in my brain. I'll never be good enough for
There's so much here. Oh my gosh. That internal storm. Ooh.
Inner critic feeds on all my stress, sabotaging all of my success. 'Cause what it can't destroy, I can't enjoy.
Oh.
Inner critic amplifies all my
Oh.
flaws. Inner critic only sees what I'm not. It belittles all the good that I've been till I don't believe it's there. Why can't I ever let me win? Why can't I take a compliment? 'Cause everyone says the nicest things, but I'm never good enough for me. Why can't I let myself feel loved? Am I afraid of messing up? Something is broken in my brain. I'll never be good enough
Wow.
for me.
Wow.
Master of deception, clouding my perception, changing all my chemistry. Repurposing rejection.
Come on.
Into the perfect
Yes.
to keep me living anxiously. Assuming bad intention, so I keep second guessing till everyone's the enemy. There's never a connection that it will never threaten. It wants all of me. Why can't I ever let me win? Why can't I take a compliment? 'Cause everyone says the nicest things, but I'm never good enough for me. Why can't I let
need to go see them in concert, man. I need to go see them live. Oh my gosh. Amanda. Oh, honey, that was an amazing suggestion. Yep. Can you relate? I sure as heck can. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh my gosh. There was so much. I confess, when it first started, I thought, well, I have a feeling what this is going to be about, right? The title makes it obvious. And I thought that I kind of knew where this was going to go. There was something in me that thought, I'm not sure how much this is going to, impress me or knock me off my socks. It'll probably be good and deep, and we'll be able to talk about some stuff therapeutically, psychologically, cool. But I already have a feeling. Oh, was I wrong? My gosh, was I wrong? There were so many details in the lyric video alone, my friends, that were well chosen. But then the lyrics just got deeper and deeper. The musical composition was fire. Like I said, my brain was torn between wanting to jam out to this amazing track and wanting to cry, and at the same time cry for you guys. I wish I could reach to this camera and hold some of you guys. I wish that I could fight your inner critic for you, because I know what this feels like. And it is such hard work to reframe and to reteach yourself things and to recreate new pathways in the brain, literally, right? It's not just a saying, like literally the chemistry in our brain has to be changed. Literally, we have to create new neural pathways and new habits and new ways of thinking. And it's exhausting sometimes. My gosh. Oh, people, I wish I could just hold you right now and just fight that inner critic for you and with you. I feel with you guys. Those of you who really know and who are crying along to this or jamming along to this or who feel so seen by this, I hope you do. And I love that about Citizen Soldier. And I think lead singer is a therapist himself, isn't he? Or in the field of psychology. But I love that there's music like this and bands that are using their art to bring life. This is life-giving to me. Even though it's so heavy, it's life-giving because it makes me feel seen. If it makes you feel seen, let me know in the comments below what your favorite lyric is, by the way. I'd like to know what stood out to you the most. We all pick up on different things and have a different reaction at times. Why can't I believe good things about myself? On a deeper level, I think there's something deep to pause for a second with that question alone. It's easy to say, I don't know why I'm the way that I am, right? But why? Where does that come from? And sometimes, and that's something we have to work through even in therapy and in relationship, sometimes we got to stop at that question alone, a question that may seem so simple or so just typical, right? Why can't I stop doubting myself? Why can't I, right? We ask why all the time, from childhood on. Why? But let's stop at that question alone. Why can't I believe good things about myself? And I think in therapy, hopefully with the right professional and someone that can walk you through this and a loved one, a safe person, you can actually sit with that question for a while and allow yourself to explore, where did this come from and why? And sometimes it takes asking it again and again and reframing that question to really get down to the root of this. Where does this come from? I've tried everything. Let me go through the lyrics a bit more with you guys. I've tried everything to turn it down. All right. And I feel like even having the pillows here, the sound waves, right? That inner critic, the voice, but then also to have what looks like pillows, if you will, or the sofa. The whole cinematography of this clip is kind of cool, but those are images that I'm perceiving that are also poignant to me, because when I look at pillows and a sofa and a bed, I'm thinking this is supposed to be a place where I can relax, where I can be comfortable. This is supposed to be my home. But we're talking about an inner critic, a thing that will never leave me alone, even though I try to turn it off and I try to unwind and sit on the couch and relax. That's turmoil. When even at home, even in a place you want to feel safe, or in your own mind, you can't even shut it off, even though you've tried everything. And to have that but so big and bold, right? But that's the big but. I've tried, I've done the work, I've asked the questions, but critics, I don't fight. It doesn't fight fair. And that is true. Those of you who have experienced just life, a lot of us, it's just life. Or those of you who have maybe been diagnosed with something like obsessive compulsive disorder or various things that have caused you to really be hurting, you guys know that battlefield in the mind. And it's not fair. The tricks our mind plays on us are vicious. Parasite looking thing creeping out of this person. Also, and this poignant representation of that battlefield in the mind, right? How it crawls out of you. It's the jealous type. Crazy, right? When you have a brain that's playing tricks on you and a mind that is jealous, that doesn't believe, that questions, that wants to keep you locked up in your head all for itself versus letting you free to experience love and relationship with other people. One thing to consider from a therapeutic standpoint, and please know these videos are meant to encourage and educate you, not to be in lieu of instead of therapy. Please seek help if you're hurting. If you're suicidal, call the suicide hotline. Reach out for help, to therapy, to a local organization. You don't have to fight alone. It's interesting because one thing to consider that can be therapeutic is to ask ourselves, after we've asked why can't I shake this inner critic? Why do I always doubt everything about myself? Let's talk about where this comes from. Part 2, the question might be, how would we deal with someone who is so jealous and obsessive about us that they don't let us out? If you had someone in your life that kept you locked inside, so jealous, you can't leave the house, you can't look out the window, nothing is safe. You're only safe with me, right? If this person were to keep you locked in and told you the lie, Rapunzel style, the evil stepmother, you're only safe with me, right? I'm doing this for your good. And Rapunzel's not allowed to leave the tower. What would you say to that person? What would you say to a loved one or to yourself? In the same sense, we might be able to consider that this voice, this inner critic, that is the jealous type that doesn't want us to be free, to break out of our mental prison and experience relationship and love. Maybe we have to start treating that inner voice similarly and separate that one thing is a battle of our mind, the other is who we are. But I think the struggle sometimes becomes when we think we are our own worst enemy and we think that we are inseparable. And we think that this voice that's attacking us is who we are. And now that becomes our identity and it feels hopeless because I can't stop being me. Instead of realizing, no, this might be a matter of a chemical imbalance. This could be trauma that you've been through. This could be internalizing things that have been said and done to you, but it's not who you are. And gradually perhaps learning, if someone were to want to hold me down and imprison me in my own home, I wouldn't allow that. If that was done to someone I love, I wouldn't allow that. Why am I doing it to myself? Maybe there's a way to start gradually working through separating the two. That's one approach. There's many things that you will be able to work through in therapy. But it just keeps going and it talks about, I always second guess it silently. And I loved the enunciation here in the word game with silently and why, and just the way that the cadence flow fell in the rhythm was beautiful, silently. Anyone who want to be with me, right? And then it shows these images of a labyrinth or someone very alone in an auditorium. An imagery of loneliness, of confusion, a labyrinth, right? This matrix of the mind, if you will. The whole, the hands, what is that? Is that Michelangelo painting? Michelangelo, hands painting. That's a Michelangelo painting, right? What was it called again? Yeah, the creation of Adam. There we go, Michelangelo. It's interesting, how there's this, is it a time, a sand watch? Is that supposed to be a sand watch? Time's ticking, right? Which may be symbolizing our life, right? This is something we're dealing with all our life, this inner critic, but also those hands reaching out and the lightning. It, to me, is symbolic of how you're hesitant to reach out to someone for help and connect with other people and trust them. It's almost like, when you touch someone and you get that static shock and it's like, ow, right? You pull your hand back. You don't want to reach out and touch them again because that hurt. To me, this electric lightning imagery could imply that exact battle, that it's almost uncomfortable. It's literally painful to reach out, to connect with someone. Could be a play on the Michelangelo painting and this idea of the creation of Adam, right? Where you are, you can't reach out to anybody. You don't feel safe with anybody, neither with God, the creator of Adam, or a fellow human being. Different ways we could take that. Why can't I take a compliment, the hands on the face, that body language that symbolizes maybe trying to shut out the world around us or shut out the battle in our mind, protect our ears. Often a body image that expresses distress and anxiety and turmoil. That tightrope, why can't I let myself feel loved? That tightrope, so poignant, right? You feel like you're walking on a tightrope. Everything's a threat. Everything's dangerous. The spiraling stairs, I feel like very symbolic of falling, spiraling downward. The wheels turning, brilliant because it spoke about the mind. I'm broken in my brain. The wheels turning, right? We're obsessing. We go around and around on certain matters in life. So much imagery here that was used that is very detailed and poignant and intentionally chosen. The stairs up to that light, up to God, if you will, or to peace, could be taken different ways. Could be taken in the spiritual sense, right? That longing for peace, for God, for enlightenment, for hope. It could be symbolic of you're down in the pit, in the dungeon, and you're trying to get up to the light. You're trying to get out of the fog, out of the prison. I'll never be good enough, right? That inner critic that keeps you chained. And then the chorus and that spiraling storm was just beautiful and poignant and badass, pulling you into the composition, symbolically, vividly painting that picture that many of us can relate to. And when it comes to the inner critic, we won't go through every single lyric. It's an amazing song, you guys. Even that bridge, by the way, I don't want to take away from the bridge. That part got me, but I'll talk to you about that in a second. When it comes to that inner battlefield of the mind, what I've discovered even in myself was that over the years, there were certain voices or thoughts of my inner critic that were very obvious. Things like, insecurities, right? Oh, this is not pretty about me, or this, I don't like this about me. Or where I internalized hateful things that were said towards me. Oh, you're not good enough, or what is wrong with you, And so there were voices, statements that would replay in my mind through that inner critic. But then I realized that on a deeper level, even subconsciously, if you will, this overall takeaway, conclusion of that criticism was, you're just not good enough. And so while I had these voices that I've been trying to shut out and distract myself from and reframe and work on getting rid of, the message of all of that underneath was, you're not good enough. And the question was, would anybody really love me for me? And that's not something I've completely figured out yet. There's still days when that hurts and that comes up and I go, am I loved for what I do, or am I really loved for who I am? Does someone really see me? That's a human desire. At best, not that it fixes everything, but at best, I want to remind you that you are not alone with that. That is an existential struggle for people to long to be seen, to exist. And that is hard when you don't feel seen or acknowledged or loved by other people. But those who have that battlefield of the mind, even when they have someone that loves them and says something kind, they can't receive it, and it makes it feel even more isolating. Now add not having a support system. Now add not having people that give you compliments and speak truth into your life. That's even more lonely and painful. And that question of, am I loved? Do people love me for me? Does anybody like me? Am I lovable? That's a human question and a deep desire, because we want to be accepted. We want to be in relationship. That's one of the ways we deal with our death anxieties, right? Give me someone to be with me in the face of death and the fact that I'm going to have to die alone ultimately. Give me relationship, right? This antidote to our fear of isolation. So many people in this world who have those questions deep down. But that won't necessarily make that inner critic go away, right? So there's a need to also now go, how can I reframe this? And I got excited at the point where it said repurposing rejection. And I thought that was so fitting, because while the lyrics paint this picture of repurposing rejection into, what does it say? Repurposing rejection into the perfect weapon. I thought we could take this two ways. The lyrics in the bridge paint this picture of my mind is playing tricks on me. It takes everything that's good and flips it into something bad. But the way I heard it, and that's why I got excited, was repurposing rejection into a weapon. This part is where we start, and this is another therapeutic tool that we can possibly look into. Reframing things. I can take this rejection and I can allow my brain to keep me prisoner, like the jealous kind, and use it as a weapon against me. Or I can start repurposing the rejection that my brain is doing. I can take rejection I experience from the outside and the way that I perceive the world, compliments and rejection, and now that can become a weapon that turns against myself. Or I can take that rejection that my brain is giving me, the way my own brain, my own mind is playing tricks on me, that inner critic that's rejecting myself, and I can repurpose that into a weapon to fight the inner critic. I hope I'm making sense, but it depends on how I look at this and where I put the emphasis. Is that weapon becoming the thing that destroys me, or am I going to use that as a weapon to destroy my inner critic? Again, possibly detaching and realizing this is not who I am. That inner critic is not me. I'll never be good enough for me. And that's also a key word. I'll never be good enough for me. It doesn't matter how much other people try to affirm you. If you don't love you, you can't receive love from other people, and you can't love other people back. And it takes hard work, and there's no easy fix, or there's no easy remedy that someone can give you or you can give yourself. It takes hard work, but it also may be a matter of reframing and saying, you know what, maybe I can reframe this rejection, the rejection that I'm even doing towards myself, that my mind is doing towards me, and use that as a weapon to fight and to start getting angry at the games that your own mind is playing on you, and take back your power. One thing that has helped me personally, for one, is relationship, receiving affirmation and kindness and experiencing healthy love over and over again. But also, I had to, and I still am working on this, learn to show up for myself, not only look for that fix of external validation, even though I did need healthy relationships to start healing those wounds, but I also needed to start showing up for me and get a little cocky in the sense of, no, I'm going to take back my power. Doing jujitsu has helped me a lot in that regard. Maybe there's a sport or an art or some type of creative outlet you can find where you start building your own confidence and you start realizing that you can take your power back. There's many different things, but I urge you to reach out for help and to please know you're not alone and you don't have to fight this inner critic on your own. And shout out to Citizen Soldier. Go make sure to subscribe to them. I love how they're using their music and platform to shed light on heavy and important topics in such a poignant and honest way. If you want to go around the world to explore more music with me and experience music for your mental health, talk about psychology and philosophy and more, then subscribe and I'll see you on the next ride. Ayo!